Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming this morning to our second STR seminar. This one's STR 101. I'm Katie Nunez. I'm the Director of Planning and the Zoning Administrator for the Town of Cape Charles. Marion Sofield is our Treasurer. She has some staff here. You might want to introduce them right now.
Ryan Sylvie.
So for those who don't know Ryan, he is the first face you see as you come into the Town Hall building. He is the man you need to see for your business license. So we also have Jeb Brady, our code official here, and you have some staff here as well.
Connie Drummond, the permit technician, and our new hire, Adam Buell, who will be our inspector and compliance officer.
And so again, Connie is the one, and Jeb is the one for the paperwork for the safety inspections that you also need to have this year. And we're going to be talking about both of those processes a lot this morning. I have staff here from my department. I have Tracy Outen, who staffs our historic district here at the front. She's helping run our technology. In the back, I have Jack Steinmeier, who's helping us run the Facebook Live feed that we're projecting this morning. And he is our zoning compliance officer and my general do-everything-else guy in the department. We will be talking to you about the zoning permit requirements that are forthcoming in 2026, but are not requirements in 2025. So we are going to focus more on the building and the business license piece first. We will educate you on the upcoming requirements so that we are prepping all the property owners for what they will have to know when they do their rentals for 2026, because those are hard, fast rules that will have to be adhered to. So with that said, I'm actually going to turn it over to Marion to go first. Here you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Ryan, will you come up and join me? Because I stand next to Ryan and he makes me look good because he really does know business licenses. And we're both getting to know STRs better and better, probably better than we ever thought we would. We have a piece of a PowerPoint for you, so, but can you grab that for us? Oh, thanks, Tracy.
Give me just 1 minute.
We're still trying to get this set up for the teams folks who are participating.
Here's our PowerPoint presentation.
Go ahead and start talking. We're going to catch up with you in 1 second.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're the place where you start with your STRs this year and probably last year, but most critically this year. We're in a time of transition with all the STRs coming on board with their B polls, but we wanted to reiterate that every single short-term rental must have a current and accurate business license displayed very conspicuously within the unit. And this year, the color is green. Green, right? So Ryan here oversees the intake and award of business licenses in addition to assisting with trash bins and pickup service. So there's some requirements within the new STR ordinance when it comes to trash bins and service. But we're not going to address that too much today because that's something that follows after we get the business license and the rental inspection. So that'll be another piece for another day. No STR rental inspection is going to be scheduled until a business license is submitted and paid for. It's just not going to happen. We've been talking about this for, I guess, gosh, it's months. I was going to say weeks, but it's months. And we now have that backlog that we were concerned about having. And we're doing the very best to get everyone's business licenses issued, but it's first in correctly and accurately and then first out. Knowing your 2024 gross revenue from the property is a must. If you are new, then you can easily say it was 0 for last year. If you are a renewal, we have what you said last year. Contact us so we don't fill the form, the application out incorrectly. It's the incorrect applications that cause the backlog. It takes it from a 20-minute process to days. And it usually will bring you up to the bottom of the pile if you've made an error. So let's talk about your questions and get it right the first time. Estimating your 2025 gross revenue is also a must. Next slide. There we go. Some of the other information you'll need to know is that we recognize that IRS forms and Cape Charles STR B-poll forms are a little confusing. we don't want it to be confusing for you. We want to show you how to do it right and then address questions that you might have about that. We also want to help you make application correctly the first time so we can move it forward. There's a $30 minimum for the license, and that you will see comes into play when we have a credit on the account, when we true up, or if there's more owed. So Ryan will talk a little bit more about that in an example. Licenses are active through December 31st of the year it issued. So the one you're getting right now is good through December 31st, but renewals are due no later than April 15th. Why do we have that gap in time? Because you have to know what your revenue is from 2025 in order to report it. I think most of us know what our revenue, our income is well in advance of April 15th, but on the off chance that you don't, we wanted to give you that period to be accurate. So the next thing we have is an example. This is going to be a little hard to read, but Ryan, will you cover some that's on this slide?
Yes,
Thank you.
so this slide primarily talks about the potential.
Make sure you guys are talking into the mic.
Oh.
Sorry.
So this slide primarily talks about some of the issues that might arise with the front page of the business license. It's 2 pages, front and back.
Does everybody have a copy of the business license application? Let me get those while you're talking, okay?
So the front page, the very first thing you need to state is the legal name of the business. It could be the property owner's name, it could be an LLC, it could be a corporation. Whatever the name of the business is that you have the short-term rental in is what would need to go here. The green part, the owner name is the name in which the deed is recorded. That is important. It can't be like the doing business as name. It needs to be the name in which the deed is recorded. Otherwise, we can't issue the business license. The red part is where you would like the business license and other important information to be sent. If you want it sent to the owner, check the yes box in the owner information. If you want it sent to the rental management company, if applicable, check the yes box in the rental management company. One of those 2 boxes needs to be checked, and whichever one is checked, that's where the information is going to be sent.
If you have questions, ask them now. As we go along, if you have a question, please raise your hand and we will take questions.
You can go to the next slide. So the next slide is an example for the second part of the business license, the tax calculation page. For example, the first part of this application, or this part, lines A through E. Lines A through E is where you essentially true up from your 2024 or prior year business license. That means that when you filled out your prior year business license, you put an estimate for your gross receipts. This is where you either have to pay us more money or we issue you a credit. We call that part truing up. The second part, lines F through J, is your 2025 or current year business license, essentially. That's the revenue that you earn this year, that you are estimating this year. That is the second part of the process. For example, if you actually earned $20,000, or if you estimated $20,000 prior year, you earned more than you estimated, you would owe us on that $5,000 of income that you did not pay upon the prior year. That times the tax rate is an extra $18. If you earned less than what you estimated, you would be due a credit. Then you estimate your current year income, $28,000. That times the tax rate is $100.80. The $100.80 plus the $18 extra tax due from the prior year brings your total payment to $118.80. It does kind of walk you through everything on this page, but it is a little confusing. It took me a while to fully figure out all the ins and outs of it, but if there is any questions at all, if there is any assistance needed, then please contact us. We'll be more than happy to help provide any additional figures, any walkthroughs of this application. It makes the process a lot easier because if there's any difference in any numbers, it throws the total payment off. Then we cannot issue the business license because that number is not what you owe, and it brings you to the bottom of the pile, essentially.
And stops you from getting scheduled for the rental inspection.
Yes, yeah.
Too many extras on that page.
We,
We will post this PowerPoint on the website later today, so you will have that. We will, again, if you've given us your contact information, make sure you've included your email. We will email this to you as well today, okay?
Is this a new form or we've been doing this?
Yeah, it's the same business license tax calculation page, but this year it's formatted differently. It's the same information, though.
It all look familiar and sound.
Next slide. Do you want me to talk about this?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the next part we won't touch on too much because it continues throughout the year. It's not super applicable just for the start of the short-term rentals, but it is something that is a monthly reporting form, the TOT, the transient occupancy tax form.
Does everyone have one of those now?
So this is a monthly reporting form that you need to submit to the town. If payment is to be remitted to the town, that is entirely up to if you use a third-party booking site, like Airbnb or VRBO. If you use either of those two, or potentially a rental management company, they remit taxes on your behalf, but you are still required to send the town a transient occupancy tax form letting us know how much money we should be expecting from either Airbnb or Vrbo on your behalf. They are due on the 20th day of the following month. So if you're submitting January's TOT form, it is due February 20th. Even if you earn zero revenue in that month, you are still required to send us a TOT form just letting us know that you did not earn any revenue this month. That can be emailed to me. My email is there. If you have any questions about it, you can give me a call, send me an email. I'd be happy to help with all of that. Other than that, I think that is most of the stuff from finance. The TOT form or the business license, there is. It is 10% of the, it's on the form somewhere. Yeah, but it's 10% every, if it's late, essentially. And same with the business license. If the business license is submitted and paid for after April 15th, there is a 10% late penalty on everything. So the total payment due is 10% more.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. Any questions?
Yes.
So on the depot tax, there's a Part 7 special permits related to STRs, bed and breakfast wine beer license.
Yes, if you do not have one of those, you don't need to fill one of those out. If you,
If I leave a bottle of wine for my guests without charging them for it, is that?
We don't want to know. We don't want to.
yeah,
Just, if I have to have that license, I want to know that, that's all I'm asking.
If
Yeah.
you're selling it, then you should have a license and a
Not
DCC permit.
If you are not selling it, then you do not owe taxes on that, you do not owe revenue on that.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
I had a question about the revenue.
yes.
I haven't happened yet, but when Airbnb makes they collect their tax and they make their payments, how good or bad are they getting where they need to go? And if they don't do a job, what do we need to do to facilitate?
They are very good at remitting payment to us.
No,
Not the county?
probably.
Do they also?
Yes, they collect tax for for you for the state, the county, and the town. They submit payment to those three areas that you should submit a form to us letting us know how much we should expect from Airbnb or VRBO on your behalf.
Because they don't do a
With
very
a
good
tot
job
form.
of telling us what's in that check.
They do a great job giving you a check of a composite amount, but how that was made up and from what properties and your revenue stream, we have no idea because they're giving us no detail in that check. So we may get a check for $8,000 for the month. We have no idea which properties make up that $8,000. So your reporting is essential because you also need to let us know if Airbnb is going to be remitting on your behalf. Tell us as part of your monthly reporting. Okay?
That'll all be in the top.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else?
Any other questions from our Microsoft Teams folks? None? Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll stick around and answer other questions.
So I'm going to turn over to our building official, code official next.
All right, good morning. I think everybody knows who I am, but I'm Jeb Brady. I'm the building official. Been with the town for almost 20 years. I was born and raised in Cape Charles, so everybody who's met me before knows that I'm very passionate about Cape Charles, and I want to keep Cape Charles very safe. So hence why I take this very seriously. So show of hands if anybody is a new STR that I've never inspected before. So you're the only one. Okay. So most everybody here is familiar with my rental inspection process, but we'll go through it completely since we have a few new. So after the business license is complete and we have proof that that is done, you would then submit a rental inspection application to my office. That would go to, right now it would go to Connie Drummond, who is our permit tech. That will be handed over to Adam shortly after he goes through some training. It's a $150 fee. That fee does not only include the inspection, but includes all of the time taken to make sure that all of your forms are properly filled out. We also issue a rental certificate after the inspection has been completed. So once we've issued the rental inspection, or once you've paid your rental inspection fee, we will set up a time to do an inspection. It's a safety inspection. We're looking for anything that could cause an issue when you have renters. Life safety, handrails loose, address numbers not identified on the house. I've got a list here, I'll go through them. Smoke detectors are required on each floor in the vicinity of bedrooms. Smoke detector is required in each bedroom. If you have fuel-fired appliances, propane, anything oil heated, if you have an attached garage, we require carbon monoxide detectors on each floor. Windows must be in an openable condition in your bedrooms. They have to meet a certain size criteria depending on what floor they are on. Fire extinguishers required in the kitchen. All water heaters must have their pressure relief valves piped to the exterior, or if they're in a garage, to the floor. Electrical panels must be labeled. Electrical boxes, including switches and receptacles, shall be secured to prevent any fire or electrocution hazard. We want to protect children. All locks on exterior doors must be openable from the interior without the use of a key. So we have thumb turns. You know, we don't want a lockable where somebody can take a key out and then we have no way to get out if there's an emergency. I said handrails and guardrails must be sturdy. Charcoal grills, we don't want them on wooden decks or porches. Any other type of grill, we don't want them up against the house. We've had several close calls. I'm also in the local fire company, volunteer fire company. We've had several close calls with tenants leaving their grills on, forgetting them going in the house, and we've got melted siding, almost creating, you know, a whole house fire. We don't want that. So that does not encompass all of my list. Those are kind of my frequently found violations. again, I'm just trying to err on the side of safety. You know, these people are coming into a home they're not familiar with. We want to make sure that it's as safe as possible for them. So let's touch on next year's inspection. I'm sure everybody, yes.
Did you mention beds in front of windows?
Oh, yes. Beds in front of windows. If there is a bed in front of the window and it is higher, the headboard or any part of the bed is higher than the sill of the window, and that is considered to be your egress window for that bedroom, that will fail your inspection. That whole opening needs to remain to be open. And how I explain it is not only for somebody to be able to egress out should they need to, it's also for a first responder to be able to egress in should they need to. We don't want to cause any type of trap for a firefighter coming in to save somebody's life. Any questions about that before I move on? Anything on my teams? Nope. Okay. All right. So everybody's familiar with all of the new zoning regulations regarding short-term rentals. So when it comes to occupancy next year, the town council has set in the zoning ordinance that it's... Okay. All right, here we go. Yep, thank you. Because I didn't have a PowerPoint ready to go today, I apologize. So there shall be no more than 2 lodgers per bedroom, plus 2, with the maximum number of overnight lodgers per dwelling being no greater than 10. So the plus 2, people are thinking that it can be just plus 2 in a hallway, or plus 2 in a living room or a family room. It's plus 2 in one bedroom if the bedroom meets the proper square footage. So the building code says that a bedroom has to be 70 square feet for one occupant. If you go over more than one, it has to be 50 square feet per person. So a bedroom that can sleep 2 people legally is 100 square feet. So if you want more than 2 in one bedroom, you have to meet with, if you want 4, it would have to be a 200 square foot bedroom. If you want 3, it would have to be a 150 square foot bedroom. So it's 2 per bedroom, with one room allowing more than 2 if it meets the square footage requirement. And that's where people are kind of getting hung up. Okay, you're not allowed 2 just because. You have to have the square footage to meet the extra 2. Is that clear, or do I need to?
You know what I think is the confusing part of this, Jeff, is that the plus 2 is really a wasted piece of information. Because really, what you're saying is that it doesn't matter if they were 20 years old or 2 years old. They could still be in that room if you have the square footage. So why use the word plus 2?
Because council wants a standard of only 2 per bedroom, no matter, you could have 5 bedrooms that are all 200 square feet. You can only have 2 in 4 of those bedrooms. Only in the 5th one can you have 4.
Okay, so there, I'm confused on that. So let me just ask a question for clarity. So if I have a bunk room, in order to have more than 2 people in that bunk room, they have to be under the age of 2.
No, that's not correct.
Okay. So then I don't understand what the plus 2 has to do with it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe I'm not explaining it properly.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But it may just be me. I'm not.
No, it's a great question, Carrie. So part of when the STR ordinance was crafted by the town council, there was, as many of you may remember, months and months of discussion, and for a period of time there was consideration of a cap of the number of STRs allowed in the town of Cape Charles. That was moved away from, and in response to that, the council felt if they actually put a cap of the number of individuals in any one particular property, that was the more desirable outcome that they were trying to achieve in our community. So they weren't saying, oh, we're going to have a cap of how many STRs overall. We just want to limit how many people may be at one particular address, period. And so that's the standard they established in the zoning ordinance, is a maximum of 10 occupants if your bedroom meets, the number of bedrooms meet the requirement defined, not just in our zoning ordinance of what a bedroom is, that's also the state building code definition of a bedroom. So that's nothing new, that's always been the standard. And on top of that, they said, okay, now we will allow two things. We won't count kids under 2 at all. So that's not relevant to them in the use of this property when you communicate with your potential lessees. Is that the right word? Thank you. And then secondly, if you are then going to have more adults, whether that be a 3-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 42-year-old, they want to limit that you have 2 more stay in one particular bedroom. That's it. So I can have the original 2 planned in that bedroom plus 2 more in that space. But no more than that, no more of an increase over that, still with a limit of 10. So some rooms, some homes only have 3 bedrooms, but this now gives them the ability, if the bedroom has the appropriate square footage, to potentially bump up to accommodate a total of 4 people in that space.
But is there a CUP process for more, or is that?
We're going to talk about that here in zoning for next year. So for right now, the only requirements you have to adhere to is the safety requirements outlined when Jeb does his inspection to determine your bedroom and occupancy of each bedroom space. So we're going to let you know now, we are beyond any enforcement that Jeb is putting in, and it's relative to if you have, say, furniture that's blocking a window to address the egress issue he just mentioned, he's going to make you move that.
Yeah,
If you also...
It was like, if you have 6 bedrooms, 6 times 2 is 12.
She's going to address that in the zoning part.
I thought there was
So let's talk about that for a second. So again, if you have 6 bedrooms right now, and they all meet the definition of a bedroom, and so that means you could have 12 people today, you still can have 12 people today.
That's for next year.
We're going to be talking about the 2026 requirements. So we are trying to do pre-education. We're trying to get all this out in advance so that you know come 2026, because many of you will start doing your marketing and potential new contracts for the next season in the fall. We want you to be aware. Don't presume if you were certified for 12 this year that's what you're going to get in 2026. We're telling you now there will be a cap of 10. And there is a process to request an increase. I'm going to go through that next, but I'm going to let Jeb finish his piece of this presentation.
So just to follow up on that, Jeb, I think, there's as I'm sure you guys know, there's a pretty active group that has a Facebook page for the vacation homeowners here in town. And it's unfortunate that this particular aspect is very, very misunderstood and being interpreted many different ways. And I still think the +2 is what's doing it. Because everybody thinks, okay, you have an occupancy of 10, but I can have +2 if I can sleep more people in that bedroom.
Yeah.
So I think using the term +2 is what's doing it. Just a suggestion, I would just say that the occupancy is 10 maximum. If you have a room that is large enough to sleep more than 2, you can have kids under the age of 2 up to a maximum of 2 in it. Because
That's not even correct. The under 2 doesn't even count in the occupancy total. So if I have a 4-bedroom house that sleeps 10, and I bring 3 2-year-olds, they're not even counted in that occupancy. So if I have, so let's take a typical 4-square house that has 4 bedrooms, and let's say one of them has a 200 square foot bedroom. They are allowed 10 people. If they bring 3 people under 2, numbers doesn't even count it, so they could essentially have 13 in that house.
But you still got to have room enough in the bedroom.
Right. So I'm saying
That's the confusing part.
well, yeah, I do understand that it's confusing. I am spending the extra time with every single house I go in and measuring the rooms now and giving these owners the information that they need to know about what's going to have to change next year. Because I don't want to have to re-inspect next year if I don't have to. So I am spending the time. I have a little measure thing. I have a calculation sheet that I'm going through and measuring every bedroom. And if they're there, if the owner or management company is there, I'm spending the time and educating them on what's going to have to happen next year. So I do understand that it's confusing. I do.
So just to highlight some of the conversation that occurred leading up to this ordinance. Initially, when the ordinance first came out, we actually said kids under 6 months of age would not be counted towards occupancy. through the public hearing process and discussion with town council, they upped that to the age of 2. They even, at one point, if you were part of those meetings, that they went as high as 12. They were going to say kids under 12 would not count towards occupancy. We brought them back, and they agreed with us, saying maybe the age of 2 is where we stop it, because there's a presumption that potentially, if you're, say, still an infant, you're coming in a crib. Your parents are bringing a crib to the house. That's not something we're going to count, and most likely that crib will be in the room where their parents are, all the way up to a pack and play. Is that what it's called?
But you still gotta have that extra square footage.
No, not for those under 2. You do not. Because there is a presumption that child may be sleeping with their parents in some capacity. So that is how the decision was reached, why the age of 2 was considered that cap-off of not counting towards occupancy at all. Because they did not need their own bed.
Does
that make sense?
I just think it's even in this conversation, it's still.
And I appreciate your feedback, Carrie, and we definitely will carry that back to council, because I think we will continue to review and potentially propose edits to this ordinance as it gets implemented and we see what's working and not working.
I'm not so much thinking about the ordinance, I'm just thinking that it's confusing for us with that. So I think if you just put it out somewhere that said the under 2 does not need to be counted in the square footage.
I believe it is actually in the zoning ordinance, written that way.
Yeah, but.
It's absolutely written that way. This is right from the zoning
I'm not
ordinance.
gonna read the ordinance.
It's right here on your screen, so I'm going to give you 1 second for everybody to read it. For the purposes of setting the base occupancy short-term rental, an occupant shall not include any persons 2 years of age or under. That's as clear as we can write it. That is directly from the ordinance. So, and we actually have informational pages on the planning page, building page, treasure page for short-term rentals that identifies these very questions. So we will continue to put these frequently asked questions up on our website and continue to try and improve our explanation to make it crystal clear. Okay?
I have one more.
Jen, go ahead.
For the under 2, you can just think of it like the airlines. Like if somebody has a under 2 sitting on their lap, they don't have to pay for another seat. So it's kind of like that for the occupancy. So the under 2 are not counted toward the max. And then the other part they're talking about with the number of bedrooms per room, like they said, that's already state code.
Amy.
So there's some conversation about sofa beds out there, and if you could just talk about how we don't count sofa beds as beds, and you also can't put people on a sofa bed and count them for your occupancy. Can you address the sofa bed issue?
Yeah, so, the requirements are that, the square footage is measured in bedrooms, and the bedrooms have definitions that have to meet certain criteria. We do not count a living room as a bedroom, so they are not counted. Was there something in the chat, Tracy?
We're coming to that in a second. Do you want to go over the
I'm trying to
definition
get
of the bedroom?
Yeah, so this is in the zoning ordinance, also mimics the building code. Requirements for a bedroom, minimum size of 70 square feet, like I talked about, for one person. If it's more than one that's going to occupy, it's 50 square feet per occupant. Must have access to a bathroom without crossing another bedroom. Every bedroom must have access to natural ventilation and have a permanent heat source. 2 means of egress, one that leads to the rest of the house without going through another bedroom, and one that leads directly to the outside. If the outside egress is a window, it must be at least 5.7 square feet. So that needs to be changed a little bit. All right, so on the first floor, it has to be a 5 square foot window. Or it has to be, the opening has to be 5 square feet. If it's on the second floor or above, it has to be 5.7 square feet. And it shall be illegal to have locking bars or grates covering any egress window. And then the ceiling must be at least no less than 7 feet in height. Yes?
Just a quick question, sounds like the answer is no on this, but your plus 2 can't be split. On 250 square foot bedrooms, 3 in one, 3 in there, 2 for one bedroom.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. That is how council wrote it up. Yeah. Yeah.
We have a question for Jeb, and then we have another question for Mary. Go ahead.
first half of the question is, how are the bedrooms being measured?
The bedrooms are being measured by my little friend here. Little square foot measure tool. It's laser pointed. It's accurate to, I don't know, very, very minute amount. So
Does this include closets?
it does not include a closet, no ma'am.
Okay. When a bed is blocking one egress, but there's another window, then that should be okay?
It should be okay as long as the window that's not being blocked meets the certain size opening, yes.
And then we had another question, but it was from Mary. It says, can you apply for the business license after April 15th?
Not only is that a yes, that's a you must, absolutely. So April 15th is just one of those days that we've said that you have to have it in, otherwise you get a late fee for not having done it. If you are renewing, do it as fast as you can, as early in the year as you can. If you are considering opening a new STR, you have to have your business license and your rental inspections before you accept the first rental. So,
Excuse me, the April 15th would apply if you're brand new to this thing, right?
if you're brand new, before you can rent it, you need to have a business license and a rental inspection, like right away. Very good.
That's true with anybody.
That's right. Yeah.
Before the rental, you have to have a business license in place.
Yep.
If you don't turn it in until April 15th, we can't even think about your rental applications for maybe a month
Right.
where that, stacked up.
So to the person that asked the question, come on in, give Ryan a call, come and visit with us, and we'll get you rolling. Thank you.
So as a side or follow-up to that nobody's asked the question, but it's out there, I want to make people aware. So you have a current STR, you've gotten your business license, you got your safety inspection, and things are great, you're taking things, and say it's June, and you decided to sell your house as well this summer. If you sell it, and it happens, and the new owner is going to keep running as an STR, they have a period of 30 days to notify the town that they have purchased that house and get a new license in their name. They're going to inherit your lessees for the summer season, whatever you have rented it for. I assume you've sold that with that, and they're going to honor all of those leases, but they have 30 days to come in and tell us, I'm the new owner now, and they have to get a new inspection. And there's a reason for that, because they may have changed the furniture layout. They may have not inherited everything that was in the house at the time when Jeb did the first inspection for the year. So just keep that in mind. If you are thinking of selling the house over the summer season or during this rental season, let the buyer know of that requirement as well, that they will need to come get compliant. Not on day one, they have a 30-day window from the date of sale to come get current with the town. Sorry to interrupt you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is there you talked about your inspection criteria?
Yes.
What you look for, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, that sort of thing. Is there a written list somewhere?
So I actually, I kind of read that off of a memo that I had put together that we kind of send out to anybody new. We can send that to you.
And it's
You
on our
just-
website.
And it is, that's right, it is on our website. Yep, so we have it is there, that's
It's
correct.
on the STR page. Again, that's available on the town website. If you go to the building page, or the planning page, or the treasurer's page, we each are hosting the same subpage for short-term rentals. You
But
can get all of this information. We have frequently asked questions up there.
You know, I mean, I've
Yes.
done your inspections several times, so, yeah. But yes, it is there. And again, that doesn't encompass everything, but that's the list that I see over and over and over.
It comes off in some state code section, right? So,
It does.
building maintenance code or something.
Mhm.
Okay. So if I go there, I can find it as well.
Mhm.
Jack?
We have a question on Facebook. It says, I guess I just don't understand the purpose or reason behind getting so specific about babies, like kids, etc.
I'm let you
As I mentioned during the development of the ordinance and through the public hearing process, there's lots of conversations. It went everything from, we would not build in any additional provisions or exceptions for children of any kind, and then there were arguments advanced, we said, well, that's reasonable, especially if it's an infant, if it's a child up to 2, they're not sleeping in a bed, why not give that allowance, that exception for them? So that's why it was built in, because it definitely was in reaction and response to a citizen comment that came through, and wasn't just one citizen comment, it was a repeated comment, and council felt a need to have our ordinance reflect that responsibility. Again, part of this is to ensure that in next year's ordinance, there's going to be a whole issue of zoning requirements, including compliance with the occupancy, and failure to adhere to the zoning ordinance requirements, failure to comply, there will be penalties and violations. So there is a reason why we felt it was essential that we make it crystal clear what is required, where some exceptions or exemptions may be built into the ordinance, and how we're going to address those moving forward. So I'm getting ready to talk about the next year process too. And I want to make sure everybody understands this year's process, because that's what's essential right now. Everybody needs to be licensed with a business license and your safety inspection before you start having any tenants come in for STRs this year.
I have a comment here. It says, based on the definition of a bedroom, most living rooms will meet this definition. Can you address this?
The first statement. A bedroom is a room or space within a structure intended for sleeping. I know people sometimes nap in your living room when you're watching the football games, or you've eaten too much and you're in a food coma. That does not qualify as a bedroom. It was not ever built or intended to be the sleeping quarters of that house. So I'm not saying you can't have some napping going on in your bedroom, or if you lived in my house, my mother prevented it by buying really uncomfortable furniture that you never wanted to lay down on. But that's never the intent. Even if that living room should meet the square footage, it's never been identified nor intended to be the primary bedroom or bedrooms in that house design. Sorry. Go for it.
So you're saying that sleeper sofas and living rooms will no longer be able to be counted for that?
I never counted them anyway.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. I don't currently have an STR here, but have them in other places. But I'm trying to understand, for the people that are currently involved with the reporting of the income from Airbnb it goes to the town and this and that, and that, is everybody always paid that, or is that a new requirement in a way to capture more tax income, or?
There has always been a transient occupancy imposed both at the town level and the county level, and there's a state tax as well. So that has always been a taxation obligation for these things. Airbnb is these what we call the third-party intermediaries. Airbnb, VRBO, there's a couple others. Avalair, thank you. Those are those third-party intermediaries that have now sprung up in the last decade or so to come in and help manage your properties for you and do some of that work for you. They fought for a period of time of not wanting to have to remit those taxes to the various localities that they're owed to. Through General Assembly up in Richmond over probably the last 6 years or so, legislation was finally put in place that required them to do that. And there are still fights occurring, definitely from, I think it's Airbnb is the one that's not giving us any of the detailed background at this point. Both of them, and Verbo is doing the same. They still have not wholly complied with the state statute of providing a detailed report to accompany that check coming into the localities.
I know we remit that type of payment in other scenarios. I just didn't know about here specifically.
Yeah.
And to your point about the confusion of payments from them, if you only have one rental, there's no confusion because it's not mixing multiple rentals together.
Say that one more time.
So your issues with Airbnb payments come from multiple rentals. If one has only one rental, then
No, because Airbnb is not sending a check just for you. They're sending Cape Charles geographic district area, and now they're saying whatever management companies, whatever properties we're managing in this area, here's all that money we've collected.
So we're not able to see exactly where to post it, but we're not sending their check back either.
So that's why it's essential for you to do your monthly paper reporting to us at this point in time, so that we can start to say, match up, okay, you're saying you earned this much revenue in the month of January. Here, we're going to say, now we agree with you based upon the information we have. here's that portion of Airbnb's check or Verbo's check, we're going to say came from you. So we're going to credit you for a portion of that check coming in from them, okay? And the greater significance, I don't really want to get into this, but the greater significance, we are moving to getting software. We are looking to get more computerized ourselves from the town perspective. So next year, this is going to look a little differently. We hope a better process. Most of the paper products you were seeing in front of your desk today will be going away. You'll be able to apply online for your business license. You'll be able to report your monthly TOT. You will be telling us as a requirement if you are into a contract with Airbnb or Verbo or whoever it may be. It could be a local one, say of Bay Creek Rentals or Chesapeake Properties, who's your management company doing those services for you. You will be able to tell us all that as part of the new software package we are right now starting to acquire. So there's some changes coming. We think that will improve the situation for everybody next year. Maybe a little bit more bumpy, but we're getting there to help you in the field so you don't have to come to these meetings and look at all this paperwork with us. We can walk you through it electronically. Man, I sound good. So I think that covers everything from a building inspection and the treasurer side of things. Everybody ready to turn the page to what's coming in 2026? Jack?
We have another comment that says, the +2 should include the use of a sofa bed as they are generally used for additional guests.
Not a bedroom.
We can have these discussions later.
So if somebody wants to talk about their particular property and make that conversation and argument with the building official and see if he can reach a determination on that, I would urge them to do so on a property-specific basis, okay? So with that said, I'm going to now turn us over to, go ahead.
So any other questions from my world? All right, so please come in and get your business license and get on the books for inspection, okay? A lot of you all probably don't know, but Bay Creek was added to the short-term rental inspection process this year. So I went from about 160 to 300 plus. I've only done 65 and it's the 3rd week of March, okay? To be clear, you're not supposed to be renting until that's done, okay? So we don't want to have to drive up enforcement. We're plenty busy with, I also do new construction inspections as well. I'd really not have to ramp up enforcement. I really would like to just handle this on the front end, go in and get your safety inspection done, get you your certificate, your business license, so we can just have a smooth summer, right?
You did 210 last year.
All right, I did over 200 last year. I'm up, it's what, 350 now, counting Bay Creek? Yeah, 350, so 210 to 350, and I'm only at like 65, 70 right now.
So can I, from a show of hands, have all of you at least got your applications in for a business license at this point? Okay, so there are a few, and I know I have a couple of representatives here that have multiple properties. We do have Amy Buda here, who is one of the leaders of the vacation homeowners group in the historic district. And Anna Lee, sorry Anna Lee, I didn't see you over there. So I think you'll be able to share this message back with all of your users of your group as well. We urge you, it is essential, because again, as Ryan and Marion noted, you can't pass go until you get your business license first. And we're telling you what are some of the holdups in the processing of that business license, which is you don't have the accurate information from what you reported last year for projected revenue, to truing it up to what you actually earned, and you also got to tell us what you're projecting to earn for 2025. So checking with them, if you are ready today, they're going to stay afterwards. You can sit with them and get those applications filled out right now. If you are watching and you have not gotten these processes started and you need some help, come on down. They're going to be here for a while. So they will be happy to help you walk through your applications, both for the business license and to submit your application for the safety inspection to start moving that forward. So that's my next question, because a lot of you raised your hand for the business license. So have you also then now gotten your safety inspection scheduled, or have you had it done already? Can I see a show of hands? So I got some of them, but not as many this time. So definitely get that in, because we do mean it. There will be enforcement if these things are not in place by April 15th. Yes, sir.
Time. All right, when I came to this meeting, and again, I don't have short-term rental here right now, but the general, from what I've gathered from Facebook groups and that type of thing, that sort of the elephant in the room is all of this regulation seems to be coming at once from the way it used to be.
No.
Or more.
No.
So is this like to deter short-term rentals? Is this to ensure that
No.
everybody's operating on the same page? What's the gist of it?
The requirement for the business license has always been the requirement for the business license by April 15th. Has the town vigorously enforced that deadline? No, we have not.
Okay.
That has led to problems because the town staff has actually been processing business license all the way through August or sometimes into September. That's not acceptable from a staffing point of view, nor for your own operations, because you're supposed to be posting your business license in your establishment. Whether that's for STRs or a restaurant, you're supposed to have your business license in hand. So that's always been a requirement. The safety inspection has always been a requirement in the historic district. What is new is the inspection district did get expanded this year to pick up Bay Creek. And the reason for that is when the safety inspection requirement was put in place back in 99,
2000.
somewhere around there, Bay Creek was brand new. That's why they were not included, because those were all brand new homes being constructed, and most of them may not have been even doing STRs at that point. It just was no need to do them. That's why the focus was on the historic district, their older homes. And at this point now, we're 20-something years later, there's a little age on some of the Bay Creek models, so that's why they have been picked up in this inspection process. So that's nothing new. I understand people have been given grace periods where we have not enforced the deadlines. We have to enforce the deadlines this year because the volume has continued to increase in this community.
Right. So it's not discourage necessarily short-term rentals, but it's more to tame the whole process and
Right.
make sure it's all under control.
That's correct, and that's legal, yes.
I have two comments. One says, Harry C. says, this has been helpful, thank you. He had to leave. And then, thank you, this occupancy and bedroom issue will be a problem for most homes in town and will need to be addressed on a large scale.
Okay. So I'm going to keep on moving on zoning ordinance for 2026 at this point, if everybody's good. If you do need to leave, feel free to. I don't want you to keep you here longer than you need to be. We will be making this entire video available on our website. We're also going to break it apart into components so that if you just want to view the treasurer piece again, or the building piece again, or the zoning piece again, we're going to put those in snippets on our website as well. So with that said, moving on to zoning. So Tracy, if you'll come back to the zoning piece where we start. So again, while the ordinance has been adopted by the town council, they gave a grace period for compliance of 1 year from the date of adoption. They adopted it in November of 2024. So you have until November of 2025 to comply. And so we're wanting to ensure you are aware of the requirements, and we're positioning you at this point to prepare for your 2026 rental season. Yes, part of that is knowing there is going to be an occupancy limit established on every property. That will be part of what you're seeing from Jeb getting issued when he issues his safety inspection. It includes an occupancy number on that. That is telling you how it complies with today's ordinance. So we're trying to make you aware where this property is going to get certified moving forward. So that will be part of that zoning STR permit number come 2026. So again, if you have a house right now that can sleep 15 people legally, has the number of bedrooms, the size of bedrooms, the whole works, and can sleep 15, we're telling you next year, we're going to cap you at 10. You may be able to have a potential to request an increase, but we're going to put you right now at a base occupancy of 10, okay? So go ahead.
Just for clarity, that is inclusive of Bay Creek.
Thank you for pointing out, Bay Creek is not part of it at this point in time. Yes, they are doing the safety inspection and the business licensing. They right now are not subject to the zoning ordinance, and here's why. Bay Creek has its own zoning ordinance called the Accomack Plantation Planned Unit Development, or PUD ordinance. I am heading into negotiations with the owners of Bay Creek Preserve Communities to start doing amendments to their PUD ordinance. And part of that discussion and negotiation with them will be looking to expand these STR requirements that are now in the historic district, the harbor, and the commercial district of the town, to expand into the Bay Creek properties as well.
I'm on the board of Bay Creek, that's why I just want to make
Yep.
clarity so what that video, so I can send that out later today.
Right.
So there's clarity, because we get a million questions, just as you guys do.
Yes. And
Well-
so, go ahead.
The whole bedroom definition, square footage stuff is still going to apply.
Right, I thought that would.
Yes, because that's why when, on my PowerPoint slides, when I provide the definition of bedroom, I indicate it's not just in our zoning ordinance, it is also in the building code, and that's got to be enforced through our code official.
A lot of six-bedroom homes get built over there.
And you can have a six-bedroom home. I just can tell you moving forward, as we start to negotiate with Bay Creek about the STR zoning ordinance and that being put into their requirements as well, we understand there's probably going to be some negotiation with the town council over some provisions of this. Yes.
I just want clarity, so.
Yep.
We'll do this, but I know what questions I'll.
Sure. So, part of why the council gave a reprieve of 1 year, a grace period of 1 year from when they adopted this is, number one, they did this in November, in the fall. They knew there were people, all of you, not all of you, but some of you, had already entered into contracts for the 2025 summer season. And so how would you comply with the terms of the ordinance against contracts you already agreed to? And so that's why they built in the reprieve. And so we're doing a fair amount of education to ensure you know what the rules are so that you don't go into any contracts in 2026 that are going to be in violation of the zoning ordinance, because we will be doing enforcement of this zoning ordinance. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what those issues are, but I really want to focus on the requirements first. So as we come through here, as I mentioned, really quick, go back one more. One of the things that we are doing, as I mentioned, we are in the midst of acquiring software to help us with this process. So we have a slight challenge at the moment, because one of the things I'd like to do is build all of the accounts in as much as I possibly can for all of the STRs right now operating in our community. I don't have a lot of that information, like say on bedroom size or the number of bedrooms in a house. We are just now starting to collect that as a result of this ordinance. Jeb is doing that work. We are encouraging you as the property owners to go ahead and willingly fill out, no cost to you, just time and pen and paper from us, to fill out the STR zoning permit application so that we can go ahead and get all of that built into the new software we are acquiring, and we can set up your accounts already so that come 2026, you would just go in and open up and establish an account, enroll into the software, and your address is, say, I don't know, 3 Mason Avenue, bam, if I've got all your paperwork, I have populated all that information about the size of your home, the number of bedrooms in your home, the STR base occupancy that's been established for your property. If there are trash cans there, we put that number in there. If there's potentially parking, which I'm going to talk here about in a second, to get you to an increased base occupancy number, we've included all that information. And ideally, we're going to have the information about how you paid. So we would have your estimate of 2025 revenue for the year in the system so that when you start to do your 2026, there's less guesswork of trying to remember, I can't find my last year's paperwork. Where is it? I don't know what number I put in. I'll just pick 15,000 of what I told you guys. We're going to try and populate as much of that as we can if we have the paperwork now. That's part of what I have put into our RFP that a vendor will have to do is build the database from all the paperwork we're going to give them for existing accounts. So if you get your STR zoning permit into us by June 30th, we are going to give you a built-in 50% reduction in the fee once it is adopted by the town council. So you currently pay a business license. That's still going to be a requirement as it's calculated. You pay a safety inspection. That still will be occurring. A new fee is coming in 2026. I believe that fee, I can tell you that's what I'm recommending to them. I believe it's going to be adopted at $490. It will be an annual fee. So we are offering a one-time only option of potentially cutting that in half for 2026. If you get your paperwork into my office by June 30th of filling out the whole zoning permit application form, okay? So with that said, Connie.
Tell them what's covered
It is the zoning permit application form.
Just that.
Just that. The other fees will stay as they are, yes. We have talked at length about the occupancy requirement. So again, that is a big part of what the zoning permit will also restate that occupancy limit established for every property at that point in time. Next slide. Again, we've provided the definition of a bedroom. So again, if you're unclear of it, when you look at our paperwork from the zoning permit application, you're going to see we're asking for a lot of detailed information. This is why we're asking for it. This is what Jeb is also doing when he is out doing his inspections as well at this point in time. So we are asking you to actually measure your bedrooms. Tell us this information, where the windows are in that bedroom. Where is the bathroom associated with that bedroom? Where is that bedroom in relation to the front door? We're trying to make sure we know the path of how somebody is walking through that house to get out if there is a safety issue going on.
Hey,
Yes?
so I have the form. I understand your logic with this, but is this not something that's done during the safety inspection? I mean,
It is going on currently. This year Jeb is now having to gather this information for the first time ever. So we are asking for assistance for you to give that information to us as well. As soon as I get those forms in, I'm also providing them to Jeb to help make his time out in the field more productive. If he doesn't have any of that, he's having to physically take the time to do that at each property. He's running now, I don't even know how long it's taking you to do an inspection compared to last year at this point in time.
Well, I'm spending probably an extra 10 minutes if the homeowner or rental agent is there, just to help them, educate them on what's going to happen for next year. So, yeah.
so this is a laborious form. And my question is, we can put all these numbers in here, we're going to double check every one of them.
Yes, we are.
So I don't understand why,
Part of it is if I can get that paperwork filled out, I can give that to our vendor, software vendor, and they will go ahead and get all of that rippled into the new software, so that otherwise you're going to have to still do that come 2026 in the software before you can move forward with an application.
I understand.
Yeah.
My whole thing is, it will be done twice. It'll be done.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think it will be twice, because Jeb is not going to always tell me the windows. His chief goal is he's trying to get to what is the number of occupancy. So yes, he's now created himself a little cheat sheet where he's trying to mark some of these measurements, but he's not going to have everything that tells me it's in compliance with the ordinance. He knows it is because he knows the ordinance requirements, so he's able to quickly tell me, Katie, this house is going to be certified at 6, this one's going to be certified at 8, or whatever that number is. I'm trying to get to the point where the software vendor can build everybody's account as completely as possible. We need your assistance in doing that. Otherwise, you will be required to do that in the software in 2026. So you will have hard stops to move your application forward in the software until you fill that information out.
Will his measurements be populated? Like, it would be helpful if Jeb's measurements were populated into this. I'm just trying to make it easier. I know you're going to get a lot of pushback, and I'm trying to...
No, they won't be at this point, Amy. We don't have the capacity from a staff perspective, clearly not from a technology capacity, to give you that information today.
I will say, if you want those measurements, just email me, because I'm writing down every square footage. I'm not giving you the actual dimensions, but I will give you the square footage. If I measure that bedroom at 165 square feet, you want to know it, I'll email it to you. Just email me. If I've done your inspection. If I haven't done your inspection, I can't help you out yet. But get your inspection done, then I can help you out. Hear that, plug?
I heard it. Go ahead.
And just to confirm, so we get this done before June, it's entered into the program, will we need to online do this again each year, or will it just be a check your information?
It's check your information. It's verification at that point in time. So if it's a new property owner, of course, they will set up a new account. They will inherit that account information, and they have to confirm, is this all correct still? Did they change a bedroom? Did they move a wall? Did they change a window space or something?
For a repeat owner?
For a repeat owner, you're just confirming the information is still accurate.
One time?
Yeah. Next one. So, you're gonna hear this term a lot, I just wanna make sure everybody knows what it is. We're gonna start calling it, it's a boaster or booster, depending on which one of us is saying it. It's the base occupancy, short-term rental. So that's what we are establishing for every property. It is again following the legal definition of bedrooms to determine that occupancy rate. And again, a boaster right now cannot be greater than 10 by right on any property. So what happens if you want to exceed that or can exceed it? There is built into the ordinance this provision. If your property could accommodate more than 10, meaning it meets the definition of bedrooms that allows for greater occupancy in those bedroom spaces, then you have to apply to the town. We do have a form for that. It's an increase in the booster. And we have that application on our website. It is available as a hard copy in the offices or on the wall outside of our offices, so you can come get it at any time or get it off the website. There is a parking requirement to increase the base occupancy. And what that means is for every person that you are looking to increase, and so again, what is that parking requirement then? For every one spot, for every 2 additional lodgers you are trying to increase by, you must provide a parking spot on your property, not the street. So again, right now, anybody can use the street to handle your parking needs for that STR. But if you want to say you want 12 in your home for that occupancy rate, then you need to be able to provide a parking space on your property, and you have to demonstrate that to us. You have to give us a site plan, and we need to see what else is occurring on your property. We will be doing an inspection on your property to ensure there is the capacity to not just provide it, but then mark it as such. Identify and reserve it for parking for your STR on your property. And making sure that you're informing your tenants that there is one spot available on your property for that parking to happen on. Everybody understand that process? As briefly mentioned at the beginning of the treasurer's thing, there is a whole component, I didn't even detail in here today, of trash receptacles that is based upon occupancy as well. So again, right now in the historic district or Bay Creek, you are not required to have a trash can. You can take the trash over to the Cheriton, to the Bayview Waste Center, or up to the landfill if that's what you want to do. Or go ahead and pay Davis Disposal or somebody else to take care of your trash purposes, and you are not required to have a trash can. However, if you are going to operate an STR, you are now required to have 1 trash can right now as a minimum. As you start to get to higher bedroom and occupancy counts, the number of trash cans required increases. That is today's current requirement of that. I can't tell you what the exact numbers are. I'm looking at Ryan, if you might know those off the top of your head.
So if you have 1 to 2 bedrooms, you need to have a minimum of 1 trash can. If you have 3 or 4 bedrooms, you need to have a minimum of 2 trash cans. If you have 5 or more bedrooms, you need to have a minimum of 3 trash cans.
We understand this is another problematic or controversial component of the zoning ordinance. There may be some consideration from council in the near future to provide some exception allowances upon proof of evidence that trash management is being handled in a different way for your property. So keep in mind, keep checking our website, because we will be posting continued improvements or changes to the ordinance. I do think there is one coming forth relative to the trash issue. It probably will not come forward till May or June, because it's anything that we do. I would love to just say, well, just say it this way, Katie. I'd love to do that. Everything we do requires public hearings to adopt laws, and so the trash issue is a law on the town code. The zoning ordinance is a law, so everything requires 2 public hearings. It requires a process. So I wish I could say it would come sooner, but I think it's probably going to be May or June before any potential changes are advanced relative to the trash component of this ordinance. Yes, sir.
So going back to what you're talking about with respect to expanding the occupancy, you said that there was a method next year to allow you to expand it. Is that a CUP process? Or
no, it is actually, you fill out the application paperwork. It tells you the criteria you're going to have to achieve for that to be approved. It's done administratively. So you will, it's not something you can just say, I think I achieved it all I'm good to go. No, you actually have to submit the paperwork, get an approval from my office. A new certificate of occupancy will be issued to you, certificate showing that increase. And again, that would be part of your renewal process on an annual basis. Doesn't mean you have to apply for that increase every year. That will be built in and listed as your base occupancy. We will be confirming that you still meet the parking requirements on an annual basis when you go to renew. Next one. I think I'm close to finishing. I think I'm done, yes. So as I mentioned, there are other elements of this zoning ordinance that I didn't really focus on today because I just wanted to focus on right now the requirements. There are other elements, so we urge you to go to the town website to, again, the planning page, the code officials page, or the treasurer's page. We have a whole short-term rental page devoted. We give you links to the ordinance, so please read the ordinance. We then have frequently asked questions under each of our various sections between the treasurer, safety inspections, and me. Read those questions. If you think your question has not been listed there and you think it should, email me and we will add it to the list of frequently asked questions because we want to make this as useful to you as the residents and STR owners as possible. Jack.
There's a comment from Joanna Hoyt, so we rip up our front lawn or send them bedroom home and they can asphalt.
No, because again, we tell you in the parking requirements, and again, we have information about that on our website, you can actually not park in your front yard. That is not allowed in the historic district. So you have to have a driveway that comes along the side of your property. You've got to have either backyard space, alley space. That's where you can handle on-site parking. You cannot park in your front yard. It's possible in Bay Creek, but that's a whole nother issue. Again, Bay Creek is not applicable to the zoning ordinance right now, but we will handle the parking issues when we get to the negotiations with Bay Creek. Marion.
I wanted to take a minute to say, while STRs are an important member of our business community, that the treasurer's office also handles business licenses for all other businesses. So if an STR is utilizing someone for a professional service or another service, they need to be licensed with the town of Cape Charles. So we want you to be keenly aware of that. Ask your people, are you licensed here? Because that just works for the whole community. We also have some applications back here if you'd like to take them along, or you can ask your contractor, your pet groomer, your hairstylist, your pharmacist, whatever, if they're licensed as well. Just wanted to let you know we're not just handling STRs.
I think the team's invite may have ended.
1,200 plus or minus.
Is the team still going?
Licenses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
For Bay Creek,
That's
I know
me.
the zoning permit is not applicable to them.
Correct.
If they're going to be required in the future, will we also have a grace period, have a discount for them as well? Like if it's...
I can't speak for the town council on that because we've not even had those conversations yet. Do I think that would probably be something I would advocate for? Yes, because they're going to be in the same predicament
Right.
as everybody is in the historic district or commercial area today. They may already be negotiating. By the time I get through amending their zoning ordinance, again, that takes an extensive public process. For amending that zoning ordinance, it's not just public hearings. I have to send an actual letter to every property owner in Bay Creek. So that's close to, I don't even know how many, 1,400 letters that will be going out. It's going to be an extensive effort from the staff to get that public notification process done. So yes, it'll probably be in the fall before we are at a point of getting their zoning ordinance amended. So again, I'm going to hit the same kind of issues. People may have already entered into contracts for the 2026 season, and we're going to have to factor that in. Yes. Other questions on the zoning ordinance?
Can you just summarize the fees, annual fees?
Sure. So as of right now, you have a fee, and again, there isn't a necessary flat fee because it is based upon your estimated revenue for STRs. There is the business license tax fee, correct?
Yes, it's a minimum of $30.
Okay.
And the rate's calculated on 0.0037.
Yeah,
There you go. There is a current fee for our safety inspection, which is, somebody tell me.
$150.
$150. Those are not going away, they're not changing in this process. The new fee coming into being is going to be the zoning STR permit fee. and we are anticipating that being set at $490. And that will help defray the cost of some of the new staff we've had to bring on to cover this, the software that's going to help us manage this moving forward, and some other expenses associated with keeping this program moving forward as it stands. So at that point, I'm not saying it can't be potentially looked at on an annual basis as we continue to look at where STRs are, and especially as potentially Bay Creek moves into that mix. I think that number will come down a little bit because the number of Bay Creek will help dilute spreading that cost out amongst all the STRs in this community, not just the ones in the historic district, commercial district, harbor district right now.
Can Marion come up and restate what she said?
They couldn't hear you.
I had a text from somebody that couldn't hear what you said.
The
back
tax,
there.
the business tax rate for you guys, for STRs.
No, about what she was speaking about with regards to all professionals should have business license.
Okay, so,
The community on Facebook couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, I should have stood up and spoken louder. We're handling business licenses for the town of Cape Charles, which means contractors, it means pet sitters, it means anyone who's earning income in the town of Cape Charles. So we ask that you all, while you're an important part of our business community, ask that your service providers or vendors to you and your STR, make sure that your people are licensed as well. We've brought some forms here. You'll also find them under B poll on the treasurer's page. Is that information anywhere else on our website, Ryan?
Forms and documents.
Forms and documents.
Wherever you can find any forms and documents on the town webpage, there are the 4 different types of business licenses.
Okay, anywhere you can find forms and documents on the town's website, you'll be able to find the 4 different forms for B polls. B poll stands for Business, Occupation,
Business professional.
Professional and Occupational License. B poll, it's just easier that way. So if you're doing business in Cape Charles, you need to have a license, period.
Are you going to put out a list of the acronyms?
I may never get used to all these acronyms, but
I come from corporate, we had a million.
I know.
did that answer the question for the person out there? Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions coming in from the team's call?
No, I'm just adding links.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Just one small thing that I ran into that Ryan helped me work out, which was the $30 has to be paid even if you have a credit coming in from, like if I had spent my income last year, we didn't have very much, the credit was more than 30, but I couldn't use that to pay the 30. The 30 is supposed to be paid separately. So that's
Yes.
just might help clarify that for people.
No, I appreciate that. Jack, any comments coming in from Facebook? Nothing. Anybody else here in the room have comments for us?
But I agree with this gentleman here with respect to the jargon. You need a listing of all the
And I think our staff is noting that, so we'll probably have an acronym cheat sheet. Yes. So, we will continue to do these sorts of things. Again, this, as I mentioned, this video will go up on our website. It may take us a day or so to get the video up. All the other documentation is up there. We urge you to go visit our website. We're trying to make this as robust and helpful to you as possible. Yes, it is not directly on the town's homepage right now, but you go into either the treasurer page, the code officials page, or planning and zoning's page, and there it is the STR. It is exactly the same in either one of these of our pages. They are all linked and we're sharing the same information. So, Amy, you had a question?
Can I have your email?
Oh, yeah. Let me come up there and speak into the mic, I guess.
Should I just tell them? It's code official at capecharles.org.
Our cards are right back here on this table.
Yes. And again, you can always find all of our contact information, including our office phone numbers and our emails, on the town website. If you go to our individual pages, all of our staff information is listed with our email accounts. My email account is up there. My phone number is up there. You can call my office directly. You can call each of theirs directly. So you can always find us one way or another. Yes, our cards are here as well. You can take those and share them however you like. So, we appreciate your time today. We hope, I understand this may seem cumbersome to you. We appreciate you taking the time to work with us as we bring this regulation into being for the town council. This is meant to help provide the community at large a better understanding of this important economy in our business, and that we are helping put rules in that everybody in this community feels that they're being heard, not just STR owners, but others who don't operate STRs. And they want to ensure that we have regs in place that everybody gets fair use of this community. And so I understand sometimes this is problematic, but we appreciate you working with us. We will take your feedback to town council as well. If there are improvements or changes you think should happen in the process, whether it be our paperwork or the ordinance itself, please submit those to me. And I am getting all of that back to the town council for their consideration as we continue to evaluate and monitor how this is moving forward. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Please stick around if you do want to fill out some paperwork with the staff.